Howdy. Have a seat. Let's take a look at what happens next. This is part 5 of the Crosman Model 99 lever action repeater restoration. And this time we started on the bluing. So once we get everything blued up, it should let it dry overnight. I'll let it dry for a week, sometimes at least 5 days. Let it cure really good, and then use some soft patches and rim oil to wipe it down. Just gonna have a lot of sooty stuff coming off, and wipe it down with oil one more time, and just lightly, and then we can start on the sears and all the springs and all this stuff inside the receiver and get that done while the bluing's curing. It's a lot of work to get all that metal pallet cleaned and well stripped and then cleaned and degreased and polished and degrease it again and all that stuff before you can blue it and let it sit to cure. And looking real good so far, but you'll see in a minute, so without further ado, let's hit it. Okay, today we start the bluing process, and we're going to start that with all these front and rear sights, butt pad screws and all that stuff, including the wee little bitty screw that goes in the stainless steel thing that slides over the rear sight here. Gotta polish that yet, so it'll get cleaner, wiped down with cleaner degreaser, dunked in the water, taken out and dried, and then put it back in the jar after I rinse it out a bit, and cover them with some perma-blue and let it sit there for a while, probably as much as a half an hour. And of course that entails using these nitrile gloves again. And then we will start on the barrel. I want to find I'd love to be able to make something, even if I have to make it out of tin foil or something. I'd love to be able to dunk that thing and just let it sit there. Maybe some PVC pipe with a pipe end glued on one end and just something to hold it up in there somehow on the other end, and stand it up vertical and fill up the dead space with the stuff and let it sit. I don't know. Okay, this is after rubbing them down with the cleaner degreaser there, and then dunking them in a jar of water, and then pouring the water out in my little spit bucket there, and drying them off. And that's the wee little bitty screw right there that goes in that stainless thing that makes the rear sight kind of shiny. As you can see, they're still pretty shiny yet, but they're all clean now, like the way you use cleaner degreaser on a car body before you paint it, or at least put some epoxy on there to keep it from rusting again when you go to put in body filler and all that kind of stuff. Well, it's the same thing with bluing. And each of the 3 chemicals have to be rinsed. That's how strong they are. They have to be rinsed and dried, and as soon as you get, after the parts are blued, you get them rinsed and dried, you hose them down with some rim oil in the yellow cap over there. And speaking of which, doesn't that butt plate look pretty? It's all good and dry now. And we will now put the stuff in a jar there with some perma-blue after I rinse the jar out one more time. These chemicals are really sensitive to being, shall we say, intermixed even a little bit. And you can't mix super blue with perma-blue. It turns into this flaky, crinkly, nasty, you don't want to know. They are not the same chemicals. They do not mix. So keep in mind that super blue and perma blue are 2 completely different animals, and you cannot mix them together. I learned that the hard way last time. After bluing and rinsing these small parts, I think they come out really nice and black in 15 minutes exactly. I timed it. Because you leave a minute, leave the stuff on it for a minute when you rub it on, then you got to rinse it and dry it, let it sit and let it dry again, and you got to keep repeating 7 or 8 times. I just let them soak. Let them soak 15 minutes and then rinse, dry, and hose them down real good with rem oil. It's also got a silicone lube in there, which is really nice. Works rather well with this stuff, but give you an idea what it looks like right now. That little tiny screw for the rear sight sleeve. That was kind of scratched up, but boy did that come out nice. Look at that. See how good this stuff looks when you get that metal all polished up nice? It takes a little time and your hands are going to be sore, but it'll be worth it. And those stainless steel wire wheels and a Dremel that comes in are indispensable. I think Dremels are downright handy for doing this sort of work. But it looks good. Okay, these things have dried after I even had to spray them 2 or 3 times with oil. The oil ran onto this thing, and that's pretty dirty from the sooty stuff I'm going to have to wipe off there now that they've dried pretty good overnight. So I'll get a patch and some oil and wipe them down and see what they look like. Okay, after I wiped down those little parts, I only had one of those round 3-inch patches left. I gotta wait for some stuff to come in from Brownells till Tuesday. But you can see how much of that sooty stuff I rubbed off. And the ones I use for folded to wipe them off with, and ones I just wiping them with and wiping my hands. I think it's a messy, kind of messy. Still needs to be rubbed with clean patches and oil underneath where it looks kind of, I don't know if that's uneven right there. I don't know what the hell happened there. But it looks good. Other bluing on some of the parts didn't come off real good. It's just, I don't know, should have tried soaking them in acetone or something to try to eat the rest of that stuff out of the metal. There's a fresh batch of bluing and rust remover, but boy, no, this stuff here was extra tough. But anyway, they look good, so they can finish drying. And I'll have to start the barrel next. That'll be another couple of days to get that done. Okay, got the Dremel and the stainless steel wire wheel again. And buffed it around. You can see where it's got a different sort of a shine to it right there. To get the, I have rubber gloves on, but it's one of the crazy glue I used right there came off the gloves on my glove fingertips and got on the metal, so naturally had to go and buff that out to get it off and then polish it up again. So that'll take maybe another 1/1000 of an inch or so off, or it might have soaked into the metal. Then I can blue the barrel. Oops. Move that a little bit. A little bit needs to be rubbed with oil a little more. Patches, I ordered more patches from Brownells and Rem Oil Pro 3. It's supposed to last 3 to 5 times longer, stop rust and all kind of stuff like that on the metal, so I have more patches, clean patches to rub that clean and then get it shining more so than it is. Pretty decent so far. Okay, I used the tail of my flannel shirt to buff some of that sooty stuff off. I'm out of paper towels and tissue and everything, darn it. But it's getting a little shinier. Getting all that sooty stuff off. Plus, as we get oil soaked into it, it'll have a nicer shine as time goes on. And these weren't due until tomorrow from Brownells, but they got here today. The next generation of Remington Rem Oil, 3 to 5% more rust-proof time keeping your metal on your barrels and whatnot from rusting, stuff like that. Rem Oil Pro 3 for firearms use only. Yeah, well, I only use it on the outside anyway. It'll just do its job a little better. And some 2.5-inch square patches. I got a 100 pack of those. I didn't see the 3-inch round patches, so I thought I'd just buy some of these since I just use them for cleaning outside anyway, or the inside of the compression tubes and stuff. They're real handy for that. I was curious about this one. I've seen in that Brownells, the next generation of the Rem Oil with Teflon lube that I've been using, which is good. We'll just see how good this works on keeping the barrels from rusting. You know what? That just made me think. Oh, see, this is the original stuff. We all know this one. I was wondering if this one says for firearms use only. Yep, for use on firearms only. Well, they changed the wording right there. But we only use this on the outside or for you know, when you break the barrel open, it's pointed towards the floor, and you can stick the cleaning rod in from the breech and go through to the tip of the barrel. So we won't have to worry about that because I use the regular lubricants for the actions and stuff. You know, Molly paste, Pel gun oil, and 30-weight silicone oil. So these will work fine for what I use them for anyhow. Okay, the other day I got that the film from the crazy glue off the metal right around here. So now I gotta repolish that. It's getting a little dirty up top here, so I gotta need another piece of 2500 grit to shine that up again right before I go to use the degreaser on it and all that stuff before I start bluing it. I even thought of taking some aluminum foil and plastic film and making a little dip tray. And if I could get some dowel rods or pencils or something to fit in both ends of the barrel, and I could use some ties off, twist ties, to put around the dowel rods and have something to hold it up to dunk it in there. And that'd be nice to be able to just soak the barrel for 15 minutes or so. Those are starting to get a little shinier. I started buffing them after they dried up some to get that powdery stuff, the black powder off that kind of was getting sticky. Looks a lot better. Just some of the metal parts there that you saw was darker even after being cleaned. I should have soaked it in acetone like I thought. It's acting like it had, oh, the other birchwood casing bluing on there. That's super blue. It mixes with even with so much as a whiff of perma blue, and it starts raising all kind of hell on that metal, like spraying lacquer over enamel, or vice versa. It gets all crinkly and nasty. But anyway, we'll start on this bit here now, so we can finally clean it up and get it blued. Cold in here though, and that heater doesn't run. I'll have to turn the heater down from 68 to maybe 65 or 64 to get to run more often, so I can use it to heat up the metal. Burned out the doggone hairdryer. I gotta get another one. Okay, got that all polished up again, even that 4-stock screw sleeve thing here. Get it cleaned up, and that'll be nice. Oh yeah. I just got to use some cleaner degreaser on it, and then rinse it off and dry and start bluing it. But I want to warm it up by that heater first. Wish I had a doggone hand heater, that'd be better. Now we're going to see if we can get this barrel blued up. Perma blue, but first got to hit it with some cleaner degreaser, some water, and rinse it into the pail there. And we'll use cotton balls here to rub the perma blue on, and let it sit for about a minute or so, and then you rinse it off, and then you gotta dry the thing, and then I'll probably use tissues to pat it dry, and then hit it. You gotta do it over and over again for about 8 times before it finally gets real good. And then I'll put two of these black foam things on that end, and one on this end. And I don't have any pencils or dowel rods to fit inside the barrel, so I have to use these Allen keys in there to hold it up on top of this black foam for a couple of days, sitting over on the side over here to cure. And of course we got to wear rubber gloves or nitrile gloves to work with this stuff, because it's caustic acids and stuff like that. But that barrel's nice and shiny, so we'll see if it works, and I hope it doesn't dissolve the crazy glue that's holding that thing together. So let's see what we can do. Okay, after having used the cleaner degreaser there and rinsed it, it's looking pretty good. Even though I polished it about a month ago. It just takes forever to get a clean day right here. I'm not doing something else or whatever to get back into working on the rifles again. But anyway, it's all ready to go. When I get done bluing it, I'll prop it up between 3 of these and those 2 Allen keys there, and that should do it after I hose it down with the rem oil over there. So I want to rub it on because it rubs it off because the stuff isn't cured yet. This oil helps drag it down into the metal, so see how it comes out when it's done. Okay, here's after the first coat. I was still wet, it looked real dark and even, but you can see here that it's not completely even. I'm surprised that it took that well though. So basically you just keep rubbing it on, let it sit for a minute, and then rinse and repeat until it gets the way you want it, nice and black and even. And here it is after about an hour of bluing, which would equal 8 or 9 coats. Hose down with rem oil and just let it sit and cure for a couple of days. It's looking really good. Looking amazing compared to what it did look like when we started, huh? So that's it for this time. Once again, I let that barrel cure before I can put the receiver together because it goes inside the front of the receiver halves and all that stuff. So we'll try to wind it up next time because we got all the tedious, long drawn out parts done. So maybe next time we can get this thing put back together and test it and see what happens then. So good Lord willing the creeks don't freeze over this time. We'll see you again.